kids' music recitals are all done. School is done. All their music lessons for the month are done. And now it's the big countdown to Christmas. Woohoo! So that means it's time for me to start baking. And at a lot of insistence of the family, I need to start with mince pies. Not mince tarts. Some people try to call them mince tarts. They're not mince tarts. Mince tarts, I believe, have nothing on the top. They have no pastry on the top or have lattice pastry. No. These are mince pies. And I know I'm English. But I'm going to be making my mum's mince pies from the recipe that she's passed down to me. And she is an old-fashioned country English cook. She's not technically by trade a cook, but she bakes and cooks the most amazing things, and she's English and grew up in the country in England. So yeah, this is her recipe and I'm going to share it with you. So we need 8 ounces of flour, which is also about 1 7/8 cups of flour if you're working in cups. We need 3 ounces of lard, or 6 tablespoons of lard, or 1/3 cup of lard, however you want to call it. Lard or shortening. This happens to be vegetable shortening. And you also need the same amount of butter or margarine, and all of these have to be cold. So this is 3 ounces of margarine or butter, which is the same as 6 tablespoons or 1/3 cup. Next up, we need 2 eggs beaten. Another egg in a separate dish, beaten. Some mincemeat stuff, and we're not talking beef, we're talking the fruity mincemeat jar stuff. And my mum's secret ingredient, brandy. Oh, and for tools, you're also going to need a rolling pin, some kind of brush, and some shallow pie tins that are greased. So I grease these with some shortening. Okay, we're going to start by Mum's secret ingredient part. This is where, oh! My strength is coming back. Okay, this is where, when you grew up in my household, everything got alcoholized. It just makes Christmas go that much better, especially when you're with family. Love my family. So you get your little bit of brandy and you pour it into, now this is obviously a very full jar of mincemeat, so you kind of have to dig a fork or knife so that it goes all the way down into the mincemeat. Make sure the brandy seeps all the way down, and that you don't end up with maybe 2 mince pies from the top that are really alcoholic and then the ones at the bottom are not at all. Now do remember, before anybody starts freaking out, really the alcohol does burn off. So yeah, the alcohol burns off in the cooking process. So children can have this. I'm not going to give the children the brandy to drink, but they can eat these. Okay, we've added a few little pours into the brandy. Brandy? No, into the mincemeat. And I've had a few pours of the brandy. So this is going to go really... No, I'm just kidding, I'm not drunk at all. I'm just doing it to make my camera person giggle. Oh no. Yeah, I've done that a few times now, and I'm going to let it settle and really soak in and put this to the side. Okay, next up we're going to make the pastry. Okay, we're going to add our flour to the bowl, and then this is the bit I hate because I get my hands, oh yeah, and make sure your hands are super clean for this. Because you're going to cut, now this has to be cold butter, cold margarine, cold everything. Okay, so you're going to cut little bits of the butter and the shortening into the flour. And this, I hate it because I end up with like flour and stuff all over my hands. This is either your shortening or your lard. In my case it's shortening. In my mum's case it would always be lard. You know, old school. She's actually one of those, she was born during the war, believe it or not. So lard was in plentiful supply because those were rationing days. And they seem to, if you've ever been to a museum where they talk about rationing and they show you how much people got a week, they got a lot of lard. I'm surprised they didn't just eat everything with lard. Lard sandwiches, lard soup. It's starting to warm up. This is why you need it cold, I think, because it's much easier to cut in if it's cold. It doesn't stick to you then. Hi! I am not going to drop anything. Alrighty, now this is the bit that I really hate. And that's the breaking it up into kind of like breadcrumbs, kind of mixing in. Making sure that you really mix in the flour with the buttery, shortening-y, lardy stuff. Whatever it is that you're using. And I just run it through my fingers and just rub it to make sure all those chunks are really well distributed amongst the flour. We don't end up with big lumps. To me, it's annoying. Not least because the countertops are too tall and I'm too short and I'm on my tippy toes right now, and then it makes my arms ache. I can see why so many chefs and cooks drink now. Well, yeah, they do one for the recipe, one for me. See, it's starting to turn breadcrumby now, and that's good. We want that. And all those little bits of butter and what have you are disappearing. We don't want any big lumps. Oh, big lump. Squish him down. We don't want that. We really want to get rid of those lumps. Okay. Next up, with my nice shiny clean hands, you're going to take your 2 eggs, your beaten eggs, and you're going to add them in here.
2, not 1.
Yeah, take your 2 beaten eggs and you're going to very gently start stirring it in to bind the mixture. You can also have on standby some water if it isn't binding, so a little bit of water, just a small amount. And it's binding beautifully. I probably won't need the water. Okay. It's my pastry mix. Just about bound. It's pretty much bound. I didn't need to use any water, which is kind of nice. Okay, so I've got my pastry. If it's really warm, you could chill it at this point. I'm not going to bother. I should put that on. Oh. And then I've also set my oven to start warming up at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees Celsius. Gas mark 6, I think. Now, it's really important to have very clean. I've already cleaned these countertops once properly, and now I'm just doing a run over any bits or pieces that I've added. It's really important to have a good space that's really nice and clean. And then you need some more flour on standby, because what you're going to do is flour your surface and you're going to roll out your pastry. Flour up your roller. All in all, things just going to get messy all over again. For someone who's an OCD person, this would not be a good recipe. This is constant getting mucky.
But it is a delicious end, is it not?
It is a very delicious end. It's so worth it. And really make sure. Now, I'm wondering actually it might be a little bit dry after all. We'll see how this goes. I might have to put this back in the bowl and just add a little bit of water because it is crumbling a bit at the edges.
Like Play-Doh.
What I'm going to do is we roll it out so far. Yeah, it's a bit like Play-Doh. Similar kind of recipe actually. And then we kind of fold it on itself and in on itself. Okay, now I've got these rolled out. I actually split it into 2 for my tops and my bottoms. That's what she said. Anyway, I got it split up. I also got Serious, the hair's up, which is another food safe thing that I should have done in the first place. Tie your hair up. I've got these pre-greased trays, and I'm gonna cut my bits to go in there. They look like countries. Some people have them like looking like perfect squares, but mine apparently look like countries. And this is where I start playing some kind of game of weird Tetris. Oh, it's a bit thick. It's going to be a bit of a thick one. Yeah, this pastry is still a little on the thick side. You don't want to ram them in or push them in too hard. This recipe should do, oops, that wasn't very well cut, was it? Basically at least 12 of these. So this is like a 12 mince pie recipe. So I'm going to carry on with those in a bit, but I'm going to do one batch so that you can see how it's done. Then we take, oh no, I still need to cut my small ones. Again, I think this is a little too thick. This is where I need more space. I need space. I used to have a much smaller kitchen for doing this. It drove me bonkers. Okay, so I'm going to put these little guys to the side. Cut 6 of these. I'm going to keep the offcuts because I still may get more mince pie out of those. So I have 6 tops to go with my 6 bottoms. What I'm going to do with my knife is just score little X's in the top. So when they're cooking, they can vent a little. Okay, so yeah, just making some little X's, like a little something like that. And here's my mincemeat. Oh yeah, I can smell it.
Did you put too much in there?
So I'm going to get a teaspoon. And put a good amount in each one. Now this is where Matt and I come to some kind of disagreement.
Oh no.
See, I don't like cleaning up a lot of mess, so I don't want to put too much in here because it heats up, it spills over, it makes a mess, you have burnt mince all around. Matthew, yeah, I'm going to Matthew now instead of Matt. He likes me to put in as much as I can get in, which then spills everywhere because he's like, I want to eat. He likes me to fill these things up. Now we're going to put a little tops on and just very gently push them down just to create something of a seal. Now you take your other egg that you kept earlier in a separate bowl and you're going to paint egg wash on top of them. You can be generous. You're not stingy.
If it's fried egg, I put as well.
It's not going to be fried egg.
If you like put it on the side, if you like put it like in the middle, like on the pan, then it could be like fried egg also.
Now these are ready to go in the oven. Oven is preheated at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 Celsius. I think that's gas mark 6. And in they go. And they're going to be in there for 20 minutes. taken all the offcuts and just made them a little bit wet again, and I'm just working the pastry in the hopes that I might be able to squeeze maybe one more out. You don't want to overwork the pastry because there's only so much you're going to get out of it before it's a bit there. So I'm going to do what I can to maybe get one more out of this, maybe two. But the one thing I'm going to let my camera assistant do, which my mum always used to let me do after she made these, is the leftover little bits she used to give to me. And I used to make a little pastry man, and I'd put the little pastry man in the oven with the mince pies. And I don't remember ever eating the pastry man, who knows. I think it was good enough to eat, but it was just something fun to do with the leftovers. So I'm going to get you to do that.
Thank you, Mother. I don't think my hands are clean though.
Well, you will wash them. I don't know if you want to wet your hands a little bit because it's falling apart, but go nuts! Use your creative side.
You know how normally you make doughs into balls?
Yeah.
I'm making them into cubes.
This is so going to be unedible. And because, yeah, I slightly overfilled them, they are popping out a little bit, but we have, they don't look exactly like store-bought, so they're not perfect looking, but they taste really good. And they're really full buttons.